Another day goes by in America, and it's another day where both sides just sit there in a perpetual Spider-Man meme, pointing fingers at each other, placing the blame on each other for everything. The only difference is now we're in what is going to be day 3 of the federal government being shut down as of October 1st, 2025. As per usual with most news stories, you have both sides sitting there making blanket statements without actually providing the evidence or the policy. They make you do the research yourself instead of providing you the context. On the one side, you have Democrats saying that Republicans are unwilling to compromise and Trump caused the shutdown because they want to strip healthcare away from millions of Americans. On the other side, you have the Republicans making blanket statements saying, oh, the Democrats want to provide healthcare for illegal immigrants and give out handouts. Well, what is actually true? What does the government shutdown even mean? Nobody seems to be explaining that either. Well, today we're going to take a nonpartisan look at who's actually to blame for the government shutdown. What are the specific policy disagreements that are causing said shutdown? And what does the shutdown mean for the average American, not just these political elites? We're going to start off with the most important question. If you're an average American like myself, what does the government shutdown mean for you, for me, the average American who's just working, trying to get by? Maybe you have a kid that you're trying to raise. What does it mean for you? Well, in the short term, not much. Odds are the federal government will come to some sort of compromise at some point to expand the funding, because at the end of the day, they're missing out on the paychecks. They're likely to come to a compromise for that reason. Another reason not to worry is this is actually the 14th time that the government is shut down since 1980. And every single time there has been some compromise that has been come to within a pretty reasonable amount of time where it's not going to have long-term effects. The next question that both sides just don't seem to be answering is, what are the actual specific policy disagreements that the Democrats and the Republicans just cannot compromise on that is going to cause the actual shutdown of the federal government? I see people on both sides on Twitter and other social media saying, oh, it's healthcare. The Democrats want to give healthcare to illegal immigrants, and the Republicans want to strip it away from millions of Americans. The reality, as it is with most of the disagreements between both of our just amazing, absolutely incredible political parties, is usually somewhere in the middle, and both sides are lying to some degree. The Democrats in the Senate, led by Chuck Schumer, and the Republicans in the House, fronted by Mike Johnson, both proposed separate bills that would keep the government open and the funding going with the same 2025 fiscal year levels that they had prior. But there were specific policies in both bills that the other side was unwilling to compromise with that resulted in both bills being shot down. We're going to start off by breaking down the Democratic CR bill, which, like I mentioned, was led by Chuck Schumer. A big piece of contention that we're going to keep coming back to is the point that the Democrat CR was going to keep in a subsidy that was made in place with the Affordable Care Act under Biden during COVID that is going to cap medical insurance premiums at 8.5%. The way that the 8.5% cap works and what it actually means is that if a person makes $100,000, for example, yeah, I know, I wish too. But if a person makes $100,000 and the cap is set at 8.5%, that means that their maximum insurance premium would be $8,500 that they can be charged in a calendar year. The reason the Democrats want to keep this in place, and I actually agree with them on this, is that without the 8.5% cap, insurance companies would start gouging the prices on the premium, which would primarily affect elderly people and people who need more health care. And furthermore, you can make the argument that through trickle-down economics, it would affect a lot more people than just the people who are elderly or need lots of health care. Because the way that insurance companies pick the price for the premiums is based on an average. So if a lot of people are getting charged a lot more, and then there's people at the bottom, their premiums are going to start going up to match the average of the other people. What that means is that a lot of people who don't use health insurance that often, young, able-bodied adults who, don't usually have health problems, they're more likely to cancel that health insurance because it's getting charged at such a higher amount. In which case, if somebody cancels their insurance and they have a car crash or some sort of accident, or God forbid something terrible happens to them, they will be charged out of pocket for whatever emergency services they need, as they won't have health care. Considering all that, the 8.5% premium insurance cap sounds pretty good. And I agree with Democrats that the 8.5% cap is a good thing, and it probably should be permanently put in place. The only problem is that's not the only thing that the Democrats had in the bill. And also, Republicans don't fully disagree with this 8.5% figure, as we're going to get into now. The Democrats, while wanting to keep things at the 2025 fiscal year level, wanted to do that reversing the bill that Trump passed, notoriously named Trump's Big Beautiful Bill, which is still a really dumb name. But regardless of that, they wanted to reverse the policies on Trump's bill with this CR. The big change that Trump's Big Beautiful Bill made to healthcare that the Democrats wanted to reverse was a 20-hour work week requirement for those who want government-assisted healthcare, noting that this does not apply to the elderly, to children, anybody under 19, nor anybody who is disabled for any physical or mental reason. The other big change that Democrats wanted to make with the CR was reversing Trump's new policy requiring stricter paperwork requirements for immigrants to try to wane down on illegal immigrants capitalizing on American healthcare. And on that point involving the 20-hour work week, I do see the Republicans' point, because they did pass that lawfully in a bill. You can disagree with the policy if you want to, but regardless, the Republicans did win the 2024 election that allowed them a majority, that allowed them to pass a piece of policy that they agree with. The Democrats, in a sense, are using the shutdown to try to reverse policy that they don't like. The CR, fronted by House Republicans, in a sense, was a clean bill, as it did the exact same thing that the Democrat CR did. It kept everything at the 2025 fiscal year levels. The only major difference is that it kept Donald Trump's policies that he passed in place. The Democrats in the Senate ended up blocking that Republican House bill. The reason that they did that is because the Republicans' bill doesn't address the 8.5% insurance cap. It would keep it in place until the next time they would have to renegotiate it, which would be November 21st, 2025. But the Democrats' concern is that this 8.5% insurance cap expires at the end of 2025, and they want to implement it permanently, and they feel like the Republicans are kicking it down the road to eventually try to get rid of it. With that being said, both sides do make good points. On the one hand, the Democrats do have a legitimate concern in saying, hey, we want this 8.5% insurance cap. We want it addressed in some sort of permanent resolution, as opposed to it being a policy they know the Republicans disagree with, as they kick it down the can, getting closer to an expiration date. Most Americans, if they knew the context, would support this 8.5% insurance cap. We know how corrupt the insurance companies are. We know how much they're going to raise and gouge prices. And through trickle-down economics, it would affect a majority of Americans. On the other hand, Republicans also make a legitimate case when they call out the Democrat add-ons in addition to the bill. Like I said, for example, reversing Trump's policies that they passed with a democratically elected majority. You may disagree with the policy, but that's how a democratic government works. They won the election, they won with a majority, they were able to pass laws. In addition to that, they didn't get rid of that 8.5% insurance cap with Trump's bill. And like I said before, that bill that was fronted by the Republican House did include that 8.5% insurance cap, but like the Democrats said, it only included it until November 21st, 2025. That begs the question, what's the conclusion then? Both sides make good points. So whose fault actually is it for the government shutdown? Are the Republicans right in saying it's a Democrat shutdown? Or are the Democrats right in saying it's Trump's fault and the Republicans caused the shutdown? The answer, unsurprisingly, is that it's both of their faults. It's Trump's fault, it's Mike Johnson's fault, it's Schumer's fault, it's the Democrats' fault. It's all of their faults because at the end of the day, both sides are trying to manipulate the situation for their advantage in order to collect voters and get a political win, as opposed to actually focusing on the policy of Americans. Because I feel like the compromise is quite simple. You keep the 8.5% insurance cap in place, but you also don't reverse Trump's bill because it did pass lawfully. That gives the Democrats something they want. It allows healthcare to stay with millions of Americans. But at the same time, it doesn't reverse the laws that the Republicans did pass lawfully, which includes Trump's 20-hour work week requirements for able-bodied adults only. And that answer is so unsurprising because it highlights what I think all of us know, and that's that both of our political parties in this country absolutely suck. The Democrats trying to manipulate the situation in their favor, blaming the shutdown on Trump and trying to reverse his policies that he did pass lawfully, and the Republicans manipulating it by using it to further their policy and, like the Democrats pointed out, not address this 8.5% insurance cap and push it to the limit, possibly to get rid of it permanently. But anyway, that's all I got for you guys today. Let me know what you think of the government shutdown in the comments below and who you think is at fault for it. I think I made a pretty good case for why both sides suck and they're both at fault for it. But you can let me know your thoughts in the comments below if it sways one way or the other for you. I will see you all in the next one. Make sure you hit like and subscribe if you enjoyed. Stay safe out there. Peace out.